Aleta, I would like to clear up about you having been down here before. Who did you meet?
I spoke to, they had me talk on that phone downstairs. And they had me talk to your secretary.
Well, here's my secretary. She has no messages. So, hey guys, come on in. How are y'all? Good.
Very good.
Is that a really cool shirt or something I'm supposed to wear?
Did you get my email?
What brand is
You
that?
sent me an email back.
All America.
It was back in February, March.
Okay. So now, are you all part of the group that was downstairs?
We're part of the new, well, actually, the group that was organized.
Well,
that
first let me get
is,
names. How are you? I'm Angela. Let me introduce us. JJ, Scott, Jackie, and Jackie. So a couple of Jackies. Sorry.
Videographer. Okay.
And tell me your name.
My name is Dalo Saku. I'm the VP for the SCLC.
What? And tell me what the NCLC is.
Southern Christian Leadership
Oh,
Conference.
SCLC. Okay, I would have known that. I thought you said NCLC. And you are? Hey, Donna. How are you? Hey, Dennis. Dennis? How are you, Dennis? Okay, good. Okay, so tell me what we're doing.
Okay, I just wanted to get everyone in the room.
Okay, great.
And if you can say your name, is
Angela Corey, State Attorney.
Thank you for meeting with us today.
Certainly.
Well, we are from the New Jim Crow movement, and I don't know if you remember, I was part of the panel that was on after Trayvon Martin's murder on NPR. So at that time, we spoke just as far as what the community was feeling after his
panel.
It was myself, Mia Jones, and one other representative. And then the week after that, you were on the radio. And
so we weren't on the radio together.
You were on the week after, and they had me on the radio.
It was the week after Pastor Gundy bashed me to the public about my handling of Trayvon Martin. Yeah, well, weren't you just downstairs with Pastor Gundy?
I am, but I do want to stay on the track because the young people have to hear this.
Okay. What would they?
So what happened was the week after, just to go back to that, because I'm trying to remind you of how you mentioned this to me. You were on the radio, and the director of the show said, well, speak to Aleta. You know, Aleta's on the phone.
Sure.
And she said she was on the show last week. And you said to her at that time and myself that you would love to have a panel with the community because we talked about the fact.
We'd love to.
And we did. And we agreed to that. And I think our whole thing, and I was telling him.
Has a panel been set up yet?
Well, that was the thing. I was contacting the office more than once, and no one got back to me.
I can tell you this. We've been contacted by several groups from the black community, the white community. See, I grew up in Jacksonville, so I think of it as one community.
Okay.
I was born on the east side. This is my community. I was born on Marshall Street. So I don't think of it as a black or a white community. This is my hometown. And when groups call and ask to meet with me, as much as I can, I work it in. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I was preparing for a murder case that got continued, and I still try cases myself. We haven't gotten a single message, and I'm looking for the name of your group and your last name, hyphenated name, or any combination thereof.
What is your email?
And we get all of my.
I think you should ask her because I think she went to check.
She was. No,
she responded back to my email.
Okay.
So I don't want to make a liar of
No, you're not.
But I do want to say when someone says.
Was there one set up?
When someone says to me, just to go back, because again I did ask.
Right.
And someone
for
says
what though, sweetie? That's
the meeting that we can set up a time.
Meeting or a forum.
Right. The forum. And so therefore what she has, we'll get the email. Let's do that and look at it and just set a time or say no.
Sure. I'm not going to say
that's easy.
But it depends on what the forum's about and who's going to be there.
Right. And
so
I think
tell me the forum you're interested in.
Yes. I think on the radio, let's stay to what we've already promised.
Okay, now, I'm a little bit confused because, and this is because I wasn't downstairs. The radio show I did was about the Trayvon Martin case.
Right.
Right. What does that have to do with anything in Jacksonville?
I can tell you.
Okay, please.
You want?
Sure.
Okay. Absolutely. My turn.
Yes.
Okay. On the radio that day, I was asked to speak with you because I was on the radio show the week before. And the conversation that I brought up, and I have it on tape, I'll get it from NPR just to make sure to give it to you.
No, I don't need that.
Oh, just a documentation. The questions came about how does the black community and mothers feel about what's happening with Christian community, Trayvon Martin, and things that have happened. And, we talked about how you have wonderful stories of people that have worked with you, African American, definitely, I'm sure you do. You have thousands of cases you work with. And then we talked about cases where people don't feel as good as well. And that's where you understood, yeah, that's true, and I can't meet with everyone, but I would love to have a forum where we discuss this.
Right.
And so that would be the discussion. It was dealing really with the young people, because I'm a youth worker. I'm also work with the family. I also work with, juvenile justice, and I work with the Partnership for the Child. And my job was the National Children's Studies, so I worked for the National Institute of Health. That's where I was working before I was doing the new Jim Crow. So as an advocate, and as a mother, and as a mentor,
Did these all four
I
of
think-
you? No. You two are mentoring these three and more?
they're a collaborative.
Good.
Collaborative of our program. It's
Well-
called the New Jim Crow, which is a book, by the way,
Mhm.
by Michelle Alexander.
Okay.
And the New Jim Crow started here in Jacksonville. We had a wonderful kickoff with a walk and we're teaching people about their rights and telling young people when they say, we are Trayvon all over the world, what does that mean? How do you empower yourself? And so, people want to support us in letting the young people know what you can do if someone stops you, if it's a
Certainly.
police. And we have those cards from the ACLU. And so a lot of these people, the young people are educated about that. But the conversation has always been since Trayvon's murder, we would like to hear more. And that's where you agree that there are parts of the community that, okay, maybe I haven't spoke to. And it doesn't have to be about the logistics of Trayvon's case, like you and I were talking about. It's about the logistics of the community and healing the young people that are saying, I am Trayvon.
Okay.
And Trayvoning and all this other thing.
I understand that. What we've never understood is Trayvon is a lot like all of the victims we have here. And when we went out and tried to protect two young boys, African Americans, who could have been killed by a bullet by somebody who shouldn't have had a gun, Pastor Gundy and a bunch of the other people were the ones that bashed us for that without anchoring.
I think you're mentioning something again without mentioning. I'm Aleta Austin Torrey. I'm not
Right.
Pastor Gundy. So let's go back to the
Well,
youth.
I'm sorry, because if you guys were, because you are connected with Pastor Gundy.
All right.
And
He's
you're
my
saying
witness.
Let me say
you're
this.
collaborative.
Ms. Carter,
I'm
she's setting the meeting separate from
Right.
Well, it's kind of
SCLC.
confusing then when y'all all get in front of the camera downstairs and claim that I haven't set up meetings. I've met with the SCLC twice, right?
I think I'm coming here
Yes.
for
Jackie
the
and I've
Jim
been
Crow.
there.
And
I'm
I
here-
think that's
I'm here on
very
her behalf.
disrespectful that you don't address me and them.
I'm sorry.
Please
Hold on
don't
a
do
minute,
that.
though. Well,
That's
you're the one.
disrespectful.
Oh, no, what's disrespectful is that you mixed yourself in with the group downstairs.
I will. I'm a community
And you were
member.
on-
It's very
I
important to me
understand
to be an
that.
ally with them. I will always do that. My grandmother taught me that.
Okay, and if you're going to be an
As a
ally
pastor,
with,
yes.
not with him, but with the pastor who's putting out misinformation, okay, then I don't deal in misinformation. I don't deal in people standing there telling the public that we lead the nation and the world in juvenile direct files when that's not true.
I have
And we have-
statistics we can talk about later, but can we address
I've got
these young
statistics.
people as well?
Well, Nessie,
Okay.
I wasn't prepared to meet. I asked you all to come up because I didn't understand the entire thing going on downstairs and coming up here.
Okay.
And any more so than you would appreciate us showing up at your place of business and standing there making comments that aren't true and then trying to say, well, we're not with them, we're with the
I
different
don't know. I
group.
said I'm definitely with them.
Okay.
I'm a supporter.
There was that
but
press
today,
conference had two objectives. One was
Okay.
talking about
Juvenile
the
justice.
adjudication of Jacksonville, Florida,
Okay,
and the
yeah.
other one was about voter suppression.
Because we just got the Department of Juvenile Justice
I've got it too.
statistics.
I've got it
We
too.
are 7th in the state. 7th.
Okay.
Okay, so anybody standing on a camera saying we lead the state and that the state leads the nation isn't telling the truth about this state attorney's office.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure I'll read these statistics.
That's from the Children's Defense Fund
Okay,
and the ACLU.
okay, well, I'm depending on the people who track juvenile cases, and those statistics just came out and said we are 7th. Last year we were 4th, and we've gone to 7th.
Okay.
And so
So will you
Is that
say what's
overall,
wrong with
or-
the young people or no? I just
So
want to know.
what do they have to do with the juvenile justice statistics that were just touted to the media?
Who? The young people? You're
I
confusing me,
will
Miss
meet with
Corey.
these 3 young men. They
No,
look like
more than 3. I'm hoping that you'll come to
Okay.
the forum. I thought we were talking about a forum, weren't we? You just were.
with all due respect, you've talked about 5 different topics here. I will meet with any group of young people.
That's what I'm doing. The
I
forum.
have an entire juvenile justice program led by Alan Lauder, where we were just featured on A&E in a program called Beyond Scared Straight, because we are working so hard with kids to keep them out of getting into trouble.
I know
I
Alan
have
Lauder. He's with the
lawyers.
partnership with me. Partnership for the
Alan
Child.
Lauder.
the Partnership for the Child, the Systems of Care, the $9 million grant that we just did?
Alan Louder heads up our juvenile justice diversion program.
Right, they come to our meeting.
He and I, and not always me, because I've got a lot going on, are available to meet with any group that lets us know what's going on and that sets a time and that we can be here. In fact, we just had a little get-together for 5 kids who just graduated his program who were featured on the Beyond Scared Straight program.
Can we do this just so we can have better communication? Can we get the tapes from NPR? Revisit what you said. And then that way,
She's confirming what she said. She said she could meet with anybody.
Oh, okay. I thought she said she couldn't do it. Okay.
No.
She said she could meet with anytime.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I think that's part of the problem.
Let's set the date up. Let's just set the date up.
Well, I'm not going to set the date up until I know what kind of forum you're talking about, and I am not going to attend a forum where you're taking statistics from a group as opposed to the official government agency that handles the cases. Now, if you want to pull the juvenile justice, the Department of Juvenile Justice tracks juvenile
as well from the
statistics.
Partnership for the Child.
Then
Yes, I
you
do.
know that those statistics don't match what's being claimed on camera or in
I'm not
here.
talking about that. Again, so you're mixing too many oranges and apples and tangerines right
Then
now.
perhaps you shouldn't have come down here with a group that got on TV and made that
I will always
claim.
do that. Remember,
Did
I am a
Did Pastor
mother.
Gundy stand there and say that this office leads the state, leads the world in juvenile direct files?
So let's go back to the forum. Is that okay?
What group is planning the forum and who else is going to be
Let's look at
involved
the
in
camp, look at the card, and let's say only what Aleta's asking. Let's forget about who's not in the room. I'm not Pastor Gundy. This paper right here that I gave you, the little sheet,
The other sheet.
the one I gave you when I first walked in the room, it says the new Jim Crow movement. I walked in here and stated NPR quotes you, and that's the forum that I would like to have.
She's saying
I know,
that
but she's
she
bringing
can
so many
have
other
a
things.
forum, but-
I don't want the young people to feel that she's not listening to my request. That's all I'm trying to say. So if we can make a time period, or you want to come back to
I'll
me,
be honest
that'd
with
be
you,
great.
I don't remember you saying anything about a Jim Crow movement.
I
on
didn't say that. I
NPR.
said my name. She asked me to say my name.
Okay, so you did not mention this movement on the radio.
I mentioned on the radio my name because, again, NPR asked me to speak as a community activist.
Asked you to speak, to call into the show?
Well, I call in very often, and when I call in, because of who I
think that's
am,
the confusion. Okay. go
and
ahead.
the week before, I was on the show, sitting in the, with the microphones.
And then I will want to review everything you said on there.
Please do.
I will be happy
Please. I got
to.
everything from Mother Jones mostly and other folks that I work
Right.
with.
Okay, now, I would love to talk to these 3 young men. And so why don't
Not
I
just to
talk
them.
with them?
This is to set up a time. They came,
Right.
again, to set up a time for the forum.
Okay, and what is the topic of the forum then? Yes, ma'am. I'd like for you to say it again.
I'll say it again.
Thank you.
The topic of the forum is to revisit what Ms. Angela Corey mentioned on the NPR show.
What did she mention?
On the show, she mentioned she would love to come out to have a forum with the community
About what?
in regards to what's happened with the Trayvon Martin's case, and not the details of the case.
I can't talk about that.
I said that 5
Right,
times.
right.
Not I'll say it again. Not the details of the case,
Okay.
but also just to let people know that Trayvoning and hoodies around America is what children and youth are doing. There's one in California. There was 500. I don't know. And so young people right now are wanting to still say, I still don't understand why we're so angry, why there's no communication with us. We talk about it in the schools, we talk about it through agencies, SCLC, Potter's House, all these churches. And so therefore, now it's a forum where the mothers that have their children that are passed away, as well as myself, who's a parent, as well as the young people, can be able to dialogue. And that was what Angela agreed to. And again, I want to say this. Please get the documentation from the NPR radio station so that way she won't disagree with me on what she said she would have the forum about, just in case I don't say it exactly right now. Because I don't want to be on trial for something that's already documented on NPR. I'm really, just want to have the forum and be able to talk and have them dialogue.
I want to talk to these guys.
Okay.
Tell me what y'all think. and I want you can say anything you want to say, and you can start with any of the three you want to start. Tell me why you're involved and what you'd like to see from us. Okay, now, okay. You say they're locked up for something they didn't do. Would you like to understand the process of how they get locked up and the legal procedure they go through? I mean, you say they're locked up for something they didn't do. Are you basing that on the fact that you were there? Or is that...
They told me what happened.
But, okay. Have you read out all the police reports involved? Well, see, here's the thing. If I were to get arrested today, within 24 hours, I go in front of a judge, and the judge reads the sworn affidavit of a police officer, and he bases a decision to set bond or hold them based on that. Did you realize that a judge reviews what the police do within 24 hours? It's called first appearance. So if the police officer ever lies in a docket, we've sent 2 of them to prison for not telling the truth in a docket. Did you know we had sent 2 police officers to prison for lying in a docket? We did. And a 3rd one lost his job, lost his career, but he testified against the sergeant that told them to make up a story about it. And you know what he did? He hit a man who was not a good person. This man was a criminal, but he was handcuffed, and the sergeant hit him in the head. We prosecuted the sergeant for that. We went all the way to a jury trial because we felt so strongly about it. So and the reason I'm bringing that out is to let you know those sworn dockets mean something. If the police swear those dockets out, and the sheriff himself has dealt with officers who don't do thorough and complete reports. So once they go through first appearance and they get a lawyer assigned to them immediately, Florida has what's called full discovery. And in fact, when we have time for a longer conversation, that full discovery in public records is giving us a fit in Trayvon's case. It's what's allowed the media to find out about Trayvon having marijuana in his system, which in my mind, it's only relevant if it affects anything Trayvon said or did that night. All sorts of things. But anyway, it's all very public. Then the public defender gets a copy of every police report and gets to depose a lot of the people. Those are statistics, yeah. Gets to depose the witnesses and find out what happened. Sometimes your friend will tell you what he thinks happened, but there may be other evidence they don't know about. So what we do is when somebody thinks there's an issue with the case, we pull the cases. Scott's going to look at one for me today, and we look at cases on a case-by-case basis. But once that person has a lawyer, then the lawyer handles it for them. So basically, if you were able to give me one of those names, we could pull a file and we could discuss that, but I can't sit and meet with that person themselves unless their lawyer is here with them. But that's what I want you to understand. There are things in place in the legal world, and if the facts don't support the arrest, the defense can file what's called a motion to dismiss. And then the judge hears it, and then the judge hears the evidence and can dismiss it. So if you're interested in those kinds of explanations, I'm happy to sit down and talk the truth of that.
Can I ask you something too?
Sure.
This is some of the things that we went over with them in Alabama. We were at a conference with the Project South, which is wonderful. So they're part of the Southern Assembly Movement, which means the youth in Atlanta and Mississippi and Louisiana are all coming together. They have a Bill of Rights. Mm-hmm. So some of the cases that they had for Jacksonville, 12 of them that we talked about. 531, Thomas McMullen. He was allegedly suspected, and he was killed by the police. And then there was another one, different cases. Let's see. This one was Devian Williams. He was also suspected. Nothing happened, and hundreds of people attended his funeral, but no one said anything as to why he was murdered. And then there's another one, which one? Jimmy Lee Matthews 5'9". So there's 12 murders since January in Florida.
12 murders in Florida. How many of them were in Duval?
In Duval, I think there's, Juan Morton's Lawrence.
Okay, those are the victims that were murdered?
Murdered by the police.
And what's your concern about murdered victims?
Well, the concern is, with like Trayvon's case, we're trying to explain to them police brutality, understanding to them why we have a cop watch now, what happens when most of the young people that are murdered, sometimes their cases are not investigated. And so this is a reality nationwide.
I can tell you right now, when it comes to murder victims, no matter who they are, no matter what sex or race they are, that Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the other law enforcement agencies in this office work tirelessly to solve those homicides. For example, what efforts has your group put towards helping us find the people who killed Tiffany Hollis, a beautiful young black woman, and the people in the neighborhood know who killed her and nobody will tell us?
Well, I would like to know what I was asking.
I would like to know what efforts y'all are making to help Tiffany Hollis's mother.
Well, I think that as a community, we don't have a job where we get paid, and I'm paying you. So I asked the question.
Right.
So
and that's
I wanted
why
to
we're
go back.
working very, very hard to help solve Tiffany Hollis's case.
I didn't know about Tiffany, but again, I was showing you the documentation we're looking at.
And where does the documentation come from?
Many organizations, and this one in particular is wonderful because it's called the No More Trayvons. Demand of a national plan of action for racial justice. It's called the DMC, Disproportionate Minority Contact, the Cradle to the Prison Pipeline. And it's a wonderful thing that you've sat with us because we want you to feel that you can give us answers, but first listen to us as well.
Okay, Aleta,
yes, ma'am.
I will listen to you, but we can't talk about being all over the page.
Okay.
You're asking me about victims. We go hard and tough where so many black victims are murdered, robbed, or shot at, and then we've had groups come at us saying we're too tough. For example, the juvenile direct files, not talking about the conference today. 9 times out of 10, when we go hard and tough on a young black person, they have victimized a member of the black community.
Let's go back, though. The DMC is called the Disproportionate Minority Contact. Edgar Kahn started legal services in the Washington, D.C. Antioch College. I'm going to speak from his mouth, since you don't believe me. Edgar Kahn.
Now, just a minute.
You didn't answer my question.
What is your question, Aleta?
Well, I'll say it again. The disproportionate minority contact, I said, is big, and that's why we have no more Trayvons. And what Edgar Kahn says is that we can use other alternatives, and they do all over the world, internationally.
Other alternatives such as?
Because of racial disparities. The racial disparity says nationwide, and you have the DMC report. It's at the State House. I have it. The kids have it. So don't pretend like we don't know the statistics. It says African American men and Latino boys and males are put away and killed at higher rates than any others. So when I say I don't want to talk about one particular case, we're talking about all these cases. No more Trayvons means I'm speaking for his mother. And I'm also speaking because I have a young black boy. So the disproportionate minority contact, the cradle to the prison pipeline, is just saying, talk with us about this issue. Instead of us telling how good you've done or what cases, how great you've been. Talk with us about right now. That's all I'm saying.
You know what?
That's all.
No, really, that's not all you're saying. And I'm not sitting here telling you how great we've done.
Okay.
I don't hold press conferences and talk about how great this office is. What I told you is we care so much about our murder victims that we work tirelessly on the murder cases. You can interpret that any way you want.
Okay.
You have an agenda, and it's become very obvious to me that you are not. DMC may be your agenda. That doesn't contemplate the total statistics in this jurisdiction.
So you mean you can't talk with us about it?
No, Aleta, I'm not going to talk to anybody that has the agenda you've got. I want to listen to these young people. See, you asked me to talk to them. I start talking to them, and then you interrupted this young man and back over the conversation.
Can I say something? Did I not? My best friend's a lawyer, too.
You asked me to speak to these young men. I would like to speak to these young men.
That's fine. And then you'll also speak at the forum with us, adults as well.
It depends, because I will tell you this. Twice, I offered the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to come out.
I'm a mother.
Twice, I'm giving you an example, Aleta. Twice I've offered the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the entire panel, to come out and do a class about justifiable use of deadly force so that they would understand when police officers have the right to shoot or use deadly force, when citizens like George Zimmerman have or don't have the right to shoot, or when somebody like one of these young men has the right to shoot or don't shoot, or use a bat or a knife or anything else. I offered to give classes, asked them, please give me a time and a place where we can do this. Did we ever hear back from them, Jackie?
Again, I don't think that's fair. Okay. I want to talk about me.
Okay, well.
I want to talk about what I'm here, why I brought them here, not about him. And I think because I have a young boy, I'm saying I don't want to be put in the same thing. Just like a young man on prison doesn't want to be put in jail because someone else you've seen. You never do that. You never show someone else's example and use it as reference. Right now, talk about what I'm requesting. And that's all I'm saying. Because that way what you're doing is confusing the fact that I'm not...
You're trying to bring in movements that don't have anything to do with juvenile
all
player
important.
Nassau.
Oh, yes, it does. Let me show you. It shows Jacksonville and Nassau.
Aleta,
and
it pulls isolated cases without producing the whole set of facts on each of those cases.
At home, if you like them, I have the partnership of the child. Well, then when we have our forum, let's do that. I want to do this with you.
Aleta?
And I think they want to do this with you.
I want to, okay.
So that's good? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will let you know about the foreman.
Okay.
Finish telling me what your concerns are. You said you have some friends that are telling you they didn't do it, but you haven't had a chance to review
And
the
you don't want
report.
to go into the specifics, that's okay. That's okay.
How old are you? Oh, sorry.
He's an adult.
He's an adult.
Okay.
I don't want him to feel like he's
He's
in
an
trial,
adult.
because, they don't want to feel like they're on
He's an adult.
trial.
Go ahead. Yeah, I gave you a sort of a long explanation about your friends are telling you one thing. Of course, you love your friends, you love your family, but not being able to see all the reports or know all the statutes, you may not know what the whole story is about the case. But if we could hold, say, one test case or one case where we could analyze it and help you understand the system, would that be a benefit to you?
Excuse me.
Would that be a benefit? Is that the kind of thing you're looking for? To understand more about how the process works?
We'll talk about it.
I don't need you to speak for him, Aleta. He's a 19-year-old young man
He
who
said I
appears
guessed,
to be
so I
able.
didn't want him to feel like he was on trial right now.
Okay, Aleta, I think I'm talking very gently to him, and we have a video to back it up.
Okay.
I don't think he does feel like he's on trial.
Okay, that's fine.
I think he can speak for himself, and I think these two can. I'm going to move down here with them.
Okay, that's
All right, sweetie, what else is bothering you? And please don't take any offense from me calling you dear or sweetie. It's an old habit, and I can't break it because I'm too old. I will come down here with y'all. What else do you think you'd like to talk about?
I'm just saying, this is been like 3 years. And
You've been what?
I've been here like 3 years.
In Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from?
Oregon. So, like,
It's beautiful out there.
I go back to my hometown in the last 15 just walking down the street. Came down here, like the same thing. Like, last month, I walking down the street, and I was like, down the street. I just want to know is why it doesn't take so many cops to just pull over one person.
Okay. That's a valid concern. What else? For right now. Thank you.
First of all, pleasure meeting you. It's not just me, but as a whole. I believe that I understand what this is and I understand what my friends do. And I believe that what we as a whole want is to have all of these things explained to us, not just so we can speak, but like she said, more conferences, to where if we have concerns, if we have a problem, I don't know about our he can understand. He can understand what we all do. Explain to us in a way that we all can understand.
Okay.
So,
And then help go back and spread the word on that. Like if I set up a day for you guys to follow a lawyer to sit at first appearance and see what happens, and then maybe follow a lawyer through the court system, just to understand that part of it. That's not saying that's going to solve anything about a specific case, but as far as learning the process, would you guys be willing to do that?
I believe that I believe anyone can research the process and things like that. Of course, I mean, I teach myself because I didn't have good teachers. So,
Did you grow up here, or did you come from somewhere
oh
else?
no,
You did? Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Roach.
Uh-huh.
So, it's a private school. But I believe when you want it as a whole, not just me, but everyone.
When you say we as a whole, just because since we're gonna keep a record of this, who are you speaking for?
I'm speaking for not only myself, but all of us as young people, all of us as a group.
Okay.
So I believe what we want is not to follow a lawyer or someone to talk to us. Because we can talk to a lawyer, but it wouldn't be as motivating
Okay.
for a lawyer just because unlike some people. So I think what I would like to happen, is for someone like you to come to us that to help us understand the things that we don't know or the things that we don't understand.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to express when I was 15, I went to prison and when I was in
Was that
prison,
here?
yes, in Dubai. When I was in prison, I had the chance to go to juvenile prison and adult prison to see on both sides.
Did you do what, youthful offender or?
Well, I was charged after adults.
Right. Did you remember what it was for, what the sentence was?
I know I had a sentence. I did 6 years.
That could have been a wire split, but we can talk about that later. If you're saying you experienced the juvenile system and then the adult system, okay.
But the problem is, I see too many young coming in 20, 30, 40 years. When I actually got out, which was last September, I didn't know nothing. I didn't know what to do. You know, I had a job, didn't know nothing. I feel that young men in the days of prison, getting a lot of time that is on people. Because when they come back to jail, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to conduct themselves.
I agree with you. And we have put our support behind several reentry programs, as has Sheriff Rutherford. I think something we came up with that it sounds simple, but you wouldn't even believe it. They're letting a lot of men and women, whoever, come out of prison and they don't know their driver's license is suspended because you don't care about or you don't think about your driver's license. And we'll have somebody that's done their time and get out of prison and drive and they don't know their license is suspended. And then if they're on probation or parole afterwards, if they're violated, and I think that's good reason to send somebody back to prison. So we've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out a way for them to, for example, if they knew you were going to get out in September, right? Like before you get out, well, what we'd love to see is that they're helping teach you a trade or a profession while you're there, and then get you prepared to come out. Run your license, make sure it's not suspended. Make sure, help you get a job lined up before you get out. There are tons of reentry programs, and we put our full, for whatever it's worth, our full stamp of approval. We are trying to streamline some of those processes, and the sheriff works with a group called Business that we go to, and one of my lawyers goes to every meeting and talks to people about, when you get out, this is what we want you to do. We don't want to see you back. I hope I never see you back unless it's in a meeting like this. So probably spend some more time, and I can put you with Alan Louder. Now, right now, we're working hard dealing with kids that are getting that first chance. Like, did you ever go to a juvenile diversion program? Okay, so did you go, like your first offense, straight to prison? I have to say it must have been a bad offense then, because you must have done that before I took office. And I know the philosophy, they didn't direct file.
It was before I took office. I actually still do have a problem with it. As being a young man, actually, when I first got in the house, being a young man, we don't know a lot. Our mind is not the same. Our mind is not the same as an adult. Okay, I do want to address that. So as we go in court, me being on trial, me being on the stand, I did not know what was going to change. I kept saying, I don't understand. For me, as me being a young boy, I did not know that I didn't have to speak. So,
right, but now you do know that it's the same trial in juvenile court. It would have been the same witnesses and the same argument. Yes, we put on the same full evidence in juvenile court. And Aleta, make sure you get that look she's giving me. Aleta,
I want to speak too.
I
don't wanna
started
just give you
in
the look.
juvenile court. We had to try, you have to try the same case. For example, if it's a murder case and it stays in juvenile, which we've never really let any murder case that went to trial in juvenile, you have to put on the same witnesses and everything. It's just not a jury there. It's a
I think
judge
she's
that
talking
makes
about.
the decision. Right, but
We're
what I'm
talking about the
telling you,
deliberate indifference. We're talking about the intentional disregard, and see, that's why.
Aleta, that's not what he just said. He said he didn't understand what the state attorney was saying in court. What I'm explaining to him is the state attorney would say the same thing about the charges or the case that they say in adult court. We have to prove the same case. Did you realize that? We have to prove the same charges beyond a reasonable doubt.
I think what I hear, if I can say this.
Well, why don't you let these young men speak?
All right.
for
Well, you
themselves?
asked me, so I want to remember because the dialogue has to
I
be
asked
with
you
the
because you
community
gave a
as
look
well.
of disbelief.
And
That's why
I have to give the look of disbelief because
You're
I'm not going to
welcome
sit
to,
here and
Aleta.
pretend like I don't have this problem that I'm telling you the forum has to also be with the community and parents. And if we
Aleta.
give this look of disbelief, it's because we aren't happy. And that is why I'm
Aleta,
saying it's not always going to be
I
happy.
didn't get elected to office to make Aleta happy.
It's
I
not
got
just
elected
me.
to
I've got
office.
50 and more mothers that are just like me. So don't
Really?
remember to just pit it in towards
Well, why
me.
don't you get the mothers of
That's
the
why I'm
victims?
trying to do the forum.
Okay, good. We'll do the forum.
That's who
as
they
long
are.
as you
They
have the
are.
mothers of the victims there as well.
They will be there. I work with them, and that's what I'm saying to you. You want to cut me off so bad because you don't like what I'm saying.
No, Aleta, I don't like the way you say it. It
Well,
has nothing
I don't
to do
like
with
the way
what
you
you're
say it
saying.
either. But I think the logistics and the words you use really throws me off because
Really?
it's not. Yes, it's the terminology.
Well,
So we don't
I'm
like
gonna
each
go
other.
back to talking.
So,
I don't like or dislike you, ma'am. I
not
don't
dislike
know
me.
you.
I'm saying you don't like the way I'm talking.
No, no,
I have a
I
problem
don't
the way
like
you're
the
talking.
fact
But
that
it's just
I'm
the
talking to
fact.
these young men about what's going on in court, and you're talking about
But see,
something
that's not the
entirely
only
different.
reason why we came. And
Okay.
I want you to understand that you can't frame it if I'm the one coming from the community bringing them. Frame it and also listen to what our concerns
So as long
are.
as they're saying what you want them to
No,
say, then you're fine
I
with it?
loved what they said.
Good. Okay.
I
keep
loved.
going. Okay.
Loved what they said. But please remember, I'm also a part of them. I'm not them, but I am their parents, their mothers, their teachers. And we're also going to be there at this meeting. You can't just tell them and ask them what they want to say and give them the law. That's the problem.
Aleta, do
The
you
law has to be
really
changed.
think- No, the law doesn't have to be changed.
Oh, we
and
have to change it. I'm a
Good
taxpaying
luck
client.
then.
That's the part
You
we're talking
take
about.
good, then you go
The
talk to the
disproportionate-
lawmakers
That's
about
what we're
that.
doing. We're doing that as well. But we
Right.
first have to understand it on your end so we can see why it's faulty. Because it is faulty.
Aleta, I don't make the law, so you're in the wrong forum. I
Again,
enforce
deliberate
the
indifference
laws.
means the law. The intentional disregard that Edgar Kahn is talking about is that laws that were made for maybe one person is racially disparity to an African American. Let's be real.
Okay,
And if I
will
hear
be
that,
real. You
it's
can't
true.
back that up.
I
and
can.
Neither can Pastor Gundy.
We can.
No, you can't.
We have
Unless you
thousands of
look
people who
at
do it.
every case. No,
We
you
can.
can't.
Okay,
Aleta.
and then that's what the forum will show you.
No, the forum will not show that.
Yes,
and I
it
will
will.
tell you why.
It will.
Because without
because the
reviewing,
conversation has to be had.
no, ma'am, you can have the conversation with whoever you choose. I will talk to young men like this as often
You
as I
want it
can.
very
But Aleta,
controlled. I know. I hear it.
Aleta, the reason that it can't be done in a forum is you are bringing specific people that ascribe to your philosophy.
No, I learned. I studied.
Okay.
I've had more
We
than
are
one.
here
Well,
to
then
enforce
let's-
Florida's laws.
Then study this.
Yeah, study the juvenile statistics.
I have this. I have
Those,
this.
those are the real
How
stats.
Then did you
numbers.
correct Pastor Gundy when he said we leave the
I was there to
nation?
support him, and you guess what?
So you supported someone who
You know
told the
what? I
public
still
the
have to
wrong
support him. You know
information?
why? I support the young people that had did crimes.
I
And I don't I did. I support them. You know why? You want to know why I support the young people? Because look at their reform. But sometimes the reformation still is not just. Am I right or wrong? Do you believe that reformation sometimes is too harsh? When a white boy gets 2 years for something and maybe
Aleta,
another boy gets
you are
20.
so
That's called
off track
disproportionate
on that.
minority contact. It's called racial disparity.
Okay.
Say the word. If you can say racial disparities, then I will feel like you've
Aleta.
finally agreed to understanding
I will
what
say
I'm
there
getting
is
at.
disparity in all sorts of sentences, and
Racial.
without the no, ma'am, there's not. I can assure you, not in Jacksonville, Duval County,
There
Florida.
is racial disparity.
Okay,
Congressman Corrine Brown
Oh.
quoted it.
really? Congressman Corrine Brown, who
all right.
doesn't let the facts get in her way and admitted she doesn't care
That's
about
one.
the facts.
Also the Juvenile Justice Department in
Aleta?
Jackson, in Savannah, and what was I saying? In Tallahassee also supported it.
No, ma'am, they had to
It's
admit
called
they
the
were
DMC.
wrong.
No. The DMC
Okay, Aleta?
report says it.
Aleta?
It says racial disparities in Florida.
Okay.
It's a big report.
Aleta.
So you just said that it's not
Congressman
true.
Corinne Brown stood on camera. I'll tell you what she said that's not true. I'll correct it right now on camera. She
I'm not
stood
talking
on
about her.
camera.
I'm talking about the
You
law.
just brought her
I said
up.
she's just one example.
Let me give you the example then.
One example.
She stood on camera and said no African American had gotten benefit of the Stand Your Ground law, which is a blatant mistake.
Then we will sit down and talk about the right statistics
Aleta?
with the right people
Aleta,
and the youth.
talk about the statistics.
All
with
the ones
people.
that, and then if someone says it
When the
wrong, we say that
statistics
was
are
wrong,
correct.
let's give the right one.
Okay.
Because guess what, as a mother, I'm never always
Okay.
right.
Would you like
Wait,
to
let me
have the
finish.
media come up and correct what Pastor Gundy said then, since you've got the
Let's go back,
statistics?
because you're feeling hurt, so that's why you keep bringing his name
Oh,
up.
I'm not hurt at all.
I want to say, yeah, that's what I'm saying, please don't bring it up. That's enough.
You're right.
That's wrong.
You're right.
I thank you for having
You are
me.
disrespectful. Thank you.
And you are too, yeah. And I would appreciate it.
Gentlemen, if you guys decide you really want to come back,